What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Round the Track with the Riders NASCAR podcast featuring myself, SterlingRider, and Duke Rider.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
We are back after some good racing from Pocono, Lime Rock Park, and Atlanta. But we got news, of course, first.
Right, and this is something that, at least part of this is something that you and I actually predicted might have happened last year, with Daniel Suarez not returning to the Trackhouse 99 car. To be honest with you, I'm surprised, and I told you this when you first sent me a message about it. I'm surprised it took this long into the season for this announcement to be made. But I do think maybe they were watching to see maybe how Connor Zillage would, how he would impress, if he was able to win. He was expected to win on the road courses. Could he win on an oval? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about him solidifying that here in a minute when we get to the Xfinity race in Pocono. But this is something that I think has been in the works for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe him winning at Atlanta at the beginning of the year last year helped push him through another year. But this is a former Xfinity Series champion that we're talking about. He's been in the Cup Series for a very long time, and he's got 2 wins, and he's driven for some of the best teams out there. He drove the 19 car after Carl Edwards got out of it for Joe Gibbs Racing and did not win. He drove the 41 car for Stuart Haas after Kurt Busch got out of it. Now, this was before Stuart Haas started, their downhill progress, because all of his teammates were winning. And then he moves over to the Trackhouse 99 car, and he's been able to win 2 races over 4.5 seasons. So it's not really a shocker to see this. My question is, where does Daniel go from here? Because as far as Cup rides, quality Cup rides, there are none.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, as you said, Daniel no longer with the 99, leaving Trackhouse at the end of the season. Not a shock to us, maybe to some Trackhouse fans out there. A lot of things I've seen that are very possible for Suarez is, the first thing is possibly going over to Colleague. Now, as you said, Colleague's kind of a mixture of good quality versus bad. They have their bad races, they have good races, and that's mostly just because of AJ Allmendinger and his set of skills. He's more good at road courses than he is at ovals, and we've seen that.
He runs fairly. I mean, he's up there in points. I mean, and Ty Dillon, so is Colleague going to start a third team? I mean, because I would say that Ty Dillon's run this year in that 10 car has kind of solidified him at least for another year.
I would agree.
Especially with their relationship with RCR. They've already announced AJ Allmendinger's coming back next year. So does he go to the Colleague Xfinity car? We know they've been musical chairs over in their Xfinity cars.
Oh yeah.
And I think if he got in a Colleague Xfinity car, or maybe even go back to Joe Gibbs, that Joe Gibbs Xfinity car, he would be out there and he would be winning races.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that was going to be the second thing I've seen on Twitter, is possibly going back to Xfinity. My personal opinion is that would be the perfect opportunity for him, in my opinion, because he was really good when he was in Xfinity. We saw how good he was when they went to Mexico City and he ran the 9 with Junior Motorsports. If they put if Daniel is put in that top quality equipment, he's going to be winning in Xfinity. I 100% agree with that. So I would say, and we've seen drivers do this before, take a step back, go back to Xfinity. Yes, the cars are totally different, but you see how much better you are in the Xfinity car versus the Cup car. Run the Xfinity car, get confident again, and then maybe if there is a seat 3-4 years from now, maybe see if there's a Cup seat open, and maybe step back up into it for a little bit to see if you're ready again. So that's what I would do as I was Daniel. But there is one more option, and this is more of a rumor, though. I also don't see this happening because, again, not a quality Cup ride. And this is even more news on top of, this is separate news, but it's something that could happen, is Rick Ware Racing has been sold.
Yeah, that was the next thing we were going to talk about. And listen to this. It's believed, of course, obviously this is secret. They're not going to release this, but some people with inside information, meaning they work for the team, have expressed that this sale was for over $100 million.
Gosh.
Okay, so that basically puts a $50 million price tag on each charter. Because Rick Ware has 2 charters. They also announced with this announcement that they plan on expanding to 3 teams.
Yep.
Which means one of their teams would be unchartered. Okay, what this also does is this also puts Roush Fenway Keselowski in a bind, because guess what? They have a 3rd team, and they are renting that second Rick Ware Racing charter for this year. But there was also an agreement, and there's current lawsuits going on, lawsuits and counter lawsuits, for Legacy Motor Club to buy one of those charters. So, and then again, like you said, you throw Daniel in the mix of all of this. Right now, there's more questions than there are answers in both of these situations.
Yes.
Because they've also announced that Cody Ware is going to stay with the team, and it's like, why would you spend $100 million to buy a Cup team and have Cody Ware drive it?
Yeah.
I mean,
unless the only reason I would say is Rick was like, the only way I'll sell it to you is if you let Cody keep racing for such and such amount of time. That could be that could be 1 more season. That could be 5 more seasons. Whatever. If that's probably the reason I would say why Rick Ware agreed to selling his team like this.
Yeah, I would agree. But the problem with that is do you want to run 30th to 35th to 36th every week?
No.
Because 90% of the time that's where Cody runs. If you want to expand to 3 teams, you've got to go to sponsors and say, I've got this driver. He's going to run 30 to 35th every week. But then I've got this other driver. This, by the way, is going to be an unsponsored or unchartered car that we expect to run in the top 10, top 15. Okay. And we want you to sponsor both these cars. And there's not a sponsor in the world that's going to say yes.
Right.
So selling sponsorship on this is going to be hard. Now, granted, Cody has not driven a blank car yet.
No.
But at the same time, these sponsors aren't giving, even Arby's, one of the bigger sponsors, I would think, isn't giving them enough money to field a hyper competitive car.
Right.
So and yeah, that's just, I don't know. That's baffling to me.
It is. There's the Rick Ware Racing selling is definitely the big one, because as you mentioned, the lawsuit that's kind of going on with the charter that was supposed to be sold to Legacy, and then now Rick Ware don't even own the team because he sold it.
Yeah, what does this do to that lawsuit? I mean, and they haven't been back in court since this, so we don't know.
I didn't see anything with Legacy saying anything about it, or anyone that owns Legacy either, being Richard Petty or Jimmy Johnson. So this just really kind of threw a curveball at everybody with the selling of this team. So Still not the big silly season we were expecting, but it's definitely part of silly season. So I'm interested to see who does what, who goes where, and who sponsors who.
Yeah, and the thing about this was not because Tommy Baldwin, who does Door Bumper Clear podcast with Freddie Kraft, he is team manager for Rick Ware Racing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was on the podcast Monday talking about this, and he's like, and Freddie was like, "Well, what do you know about this?" And he's like, "I found out when you did.
Oh,
I found out when I opened up X and found out my team had, team that I work for has been sold." He's like, as soon as we finish with the podcast, I'm headed over to the race shop to for the team meeting to find out what's going on. So, not even the employees knew about this. Your team manager, you don't even tell your team manager you sold the team. I mean,
that's crazy.
Right? I mean, that's absolutely out there. And by the way, I did need to mention behind me, as you see, my flag is no longer there, along with a lot of my other things that I normally have hanging up in my office. Of course, you see the darkness in the man cave behind me. Anyway, all this is gone because we are packing, because we are moving. So by the time we do our next podcast, a lot will have changed. You'll be married.
Yep.
We will have moved into a new house with hopefully better lighting than what I have in this little office. Closet. It's not really an office. It's a closet. Because there's literally a clothes rack hanging above me. So, this is just where I have to put the office. So a lot of cool things coming as far as that goes. But, yeah. But in other news, we do have some lawsuit news.
Oh.
Not the Rick Ware Racing legacy stuff. The NASCAR versus 2311 Front Row Motorsports lawsuit. The big thing is that NASCAR and teams individually, because NASCAR wanted all of the teams, even those that were not involved in the lawsuit, like Richard Childress and Hendrick Motorsports and all that, wanted all of their financials, all of their paperwork, all of that from all of the teams. Okay, NASCAR wanted that to be able to use as on their side of the lawsuit, which I don't understand why, because I understand NASCAR's like, okay, look, these teams, the money that we're giving them is enough, right? With their sponsorships and the money we give them, it's enough. That's what they want to show in court. Of course, 2311 Front Row Motorsports are saying, no, it's not enough. That's why we're asking for more. So they, of course, the Race Team Alliance, of course, went to court with NASCAR to fight against this because the teams are like, well, hey, if you're not going to give us your financials, why should we give you our financials, right? Which makes perfect sense. Anyway, they went to court about it, and most of the teams that come to NASCAR said, look, you want information, we will give you X. You want ABC XYZ, okay? You want the whole alphabet, okay? We will give you XYZ. So, but you're not getting the rest of it. Well, in court, the judge agreed with the teams and the Race Team Alliance and said, if you have made an agreement with NASCAR to give them XYZ, give them XYZ. You are not required to give them more than that. So on that front, that is a good thing. The other thing is, of course, 2311 and Front Row Motorsports did file an appeal to the appeal, so to speak, for their charter thing. That had to be done by the 20th, I believe, of June. They did do that. Other than that, from my understanding, they're still in the discovery phase. The other part of that lawsuit, I did forget to mention the other part of that lawsuit. The judge did deny 2311 and Front Row Motorsports access to other leagues like the NBA, the NFL. They did deny their access to those other leagues. So they're not going to be able to run back and say, well, look, the NBA pays their teams X percentage of their TV deals. Why can't we get that from NASCAR?
Mm.
But other than that, I mean, that's, kind of quiet on that side of the lawsuit front.
Yeah, well, I would say, to be fair, at the moment, everything's kind of just in a pause with the wrapping up of the regular season, getting focused for the playoffs. NASCAR and probably the teams are both trying to focus more on the racing, so scheduling for things on the lawsuit and such are probably not just quite lining up yet. I need a sneeze, but it
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean,
want to come out, so...
and they haven't, and the appeals court has not announced when or if that appeal is going to be heard. So if they do not hear the appeal, if they deny hearing the appeal to the appeal, basically, then the 2311 Front Row Motorsports will remain chartered for another 7 days. If they do win, if they do get the appeal heard, then it will just, everything will go on as normal until that decision comes down, and then again they'll be chartered for, if the judge rules in favor of NASCAR, judges rule in favor of NASCAR, then they'll be chartered for another 7 days, and that'll be it. So by the playoffs, we could know whether Front Row Motorsports and 2311 are going into the playoffs as chartered teams or not.
Well, that's interesting to know, because there's, what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 more races.
Yeah.
Till the playoffs begin. So about 2 months. In 2 months' time, but still, with this lawsuit, we've seen almost anything happen at any time. So who knows what's gonna happen? I'm still in favor of the teams. I know you are too.
Absolutely.
I believe the teams will end up coming up on top. They're just having to fight for it more than they were probably expecting. So I wish more teams could get involved with it to show NASCAR and the judges and the court that it's a serious problem with how NASCAR is kind of using the charters. But I also kind of understand the teams don't have that type of money to also continue running their team along with it. So, yeah. But the only other really set of news I have, which isn't really much, it's just more of a touch, is the NASCAR 25 game. There's, like I said, it's more of just a touch, but I've been seeing a few posts lately with some sneak peeks of drivers being interviewed for the game, drivers getting to play the game. A lot of the drivers are saying the game is amazing. It's putting NASCAR back into console gaming, like back in the old days when it was really good. So when the drivers are excited, doesn't that make you even more excited for the game?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was like this a couple years ago when the college football game came out.
Mm-hmm.
We hadn't had a college football game since 2014. Now, it hasn't been that long since NASCAR, but it's been even longer since we had a top quality NASCAR game. I mean, Heat 5 was good, but it wasn't, when you go back and you look to the things that, like, 2006 had, NASCAR '06 had.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't, as good as what 2006 was. So to so it's almost been 20 years since we've had a top quality NASCAR game in it with everything that we wanted, right? Okay. So this is, if the excitement wasn't already up there, um then I don't know what you've been doing. If you're a fan of NASCAR, I mean, come on now. I don't care whether you're Xbox person or PlayStation person or even PC person. Of course, if you're a PC, you're probably doing iRacing, so you already know, you're already having fun with this. But um, if you're not excited about this game, you're missing out because now that the drivers are starting to get to experience it, and there's a lot of drivers that are gamers. I
Yep.
mean, in their spare time, that's what they do. They go back in the bus in a rain delay or whatever, and they play games together. I mean, we've seen them do interviews and rain delays when they go into the motor coach lot. They go up into the motor coaches, and what you got 4 or 5 drivers sitting around playing video games.
Yep.
So, when the drivers start coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, this is awesome," if that doesn't get you excited, you're probably not paying attention.
Yeah, for sure. As you mentioned, with the PC already experiencing iRacing, because iRacing is doing the console game. So, already knowing how iRacing on the PC is, if you're a fan of it, I was a fan of it before I even touched it, and now I've gotten lucky to experience it and have a lot of fun with it. If you're not watching the league races, or even some of the special events I did with the Indy 500 and Coke 600, even though they didn't last very long because some ding dongs. It's a lot of fun.
So wait, you were racing. you were stage 2 starting of Atlanta, right?
Yeah. That wasn't my fault, though. To be fair,
Yeah,
my own teammate pushed me out of the way, all right, and then I lost it. Let's be honest. Larry is my teammate. He Ryder Motorsports. If y'all weren't watching the stream, Ryder Motorsports, which is the team I started for the iRacing League, and Desbach Furnace Racing, and maybe Furnace Desbach Racing. We decided to merge with all 3 drivers. Larry Desbach, myself, and Layson Furnace. Layson doesn't race due to his scheduling. He does a lot of other sports and traveling during the summer. So Larry and I are pretty much your full-time drivers, and we kept under Ryder Motorsports. So Larry is now an official teammate. And then the first race we have together that we really need to work together because it's a drafting track, he decides to punt me. So that's a lot of fun.
So he's a Kyle Larson teammate.
Yes, you have figured it out. No, I mean, he didn't mean to. It was an accident. It was just wrong bump at the wrong time, and you gotta be careful when you're coming through turn 2, coming out of the exit of the turns. If you don't square the bump just right, you're going to go flying. So that's why you normally don't want to do any bumps coming out of the corners at all. So,
which we saw that go terribly wrong in the real race at Atlanta.
Yeah. Yes.
same, similar situation. But anyway, we need to get on to some racing. We got a bunch of fun races to talk about.
Well,
first up, we have the Truck Series at Pocono, and okay, is there another way that Corey Heim can lose a race? Because I think now he's just making up stuff, making up ways to lose a race. I mean, he's to that point where okay, nothing else has worked for us to lose this race, so let's just make something up.
I honestly can't even recall what exactly happened.
He had a flat tire coming off the last restart. They're getting ready to restart, and he has a flat tire coming to the green.
Oh,
or actually coming on the backstretch, coming down to turn 3.
Whoopsies! Somebody didn't check the tire very well. Either that, or he ran over something. Well,
yeah, he probably ran over something from that wreck, but
tough for Corey, because he was up front pretty much that whole race too. So
Oh, and it also screwed um poor Carson Hocevar too.
Yeah, with the
Uh,
restart violation.
yeah, because and the thing about it is I would expect the truck drivers maybe not to know the rule, but you would expect a cup driver to know the restart rules.
Yeah.
So he, as a cup driver, now Lane Riggs may not have known what was going on and known, oh, hey, I'm the leader now, but uh, Connor, hello, yeah, um,
Carson?
Carson, sorry, I had Connor Zillage on my mind. Carson knows he knows the restart rules. He knows he's not the leader of the race. He knows he's not the one supposed to be the one to fire off first. So, um, yeah, I have to say it was a fairly clean race.
Mm.
Didn't have a whole lot of stupidity going on. For and this is almost you can almost look at this as almost like a drafting track for the trucks.
Yeah.
Just because they have to have so much momentum to pass. So, but it was a fairly decent race. I mean, only 4 cautions, 2 of those being the stage breaks. So, and I got to commend, and I know we've talked about this several times on the podcast this year. Commend these truck drivers. They have really calmed it down for the most part this year.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For being Pocono, because it's known as the tricky triangle, I definitely expected a whole lot more wind-ups to happen. But I'm very impressed that there were, only 2 wind-ups, because as you said, the other 2 were stage breaks. So, yeah, definitely a round of applause for the truck drivers. Which is, it's always good at the younger series to see the much cleaner racing because that shows that, hey, these kids might be ready to move up a little into the next series because you want to race as clean as possible while also being competitive. So, unlike the 47 in the racing league. So,
If y'all don't know, go watch.
yeah, let's just say the guy's even worse than Ricky.
Wreckham Ricky Spinhouse.
There you go, that guy.
Well, he's driving the right number.
Well, yeah, that's very true. So, yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, our top 10 were Lane Riggs, Tanner Gray, Caden Honeycutt, Brandon Jones, Daniel Hemrick, Connor Mozak, Chandler Smith, Stuart Friesen, Ty Majeski, Rajah Caruth. Really good run for Connor Mozak. He's really struggled this year. So, as a rookie, and he's got that HendrickCars.com on the side of his truck, so he's kind of expected to perform.
Yeah,
So it's good to see him up in the top 10.
definitely. And your fastest lap with the bonus point goes to race winner Lane Riggs. So,
Yeah, and he's an exciting young driver. It's going to be really interesting to see how long he stays in the truck series.
mm,
We know how good Corey Heim is. I mean, like I mentioned at the beginning, right now he's just got to. They're just making up ways to lose races at this point. And Lane Riggs is proving that he has the talent. If he could keep from the scruffles a little bit, because him and Heim have had a few run-ins this year, so if they could avoid that a little bit better, Lane could be right for an Xfinity Series ride. Maybe not next year, but the year after that.
oh yeah, I can definitely agree with that. So, moving.
So yeah, then we had the main event of the weekend, the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Of course, again, best race of the weekend.
Yeah, I would agree.
Uh, Dale Earnhardt Jr. makes his crew at Chiefing debut.
Yeah.
Uh, and what a way to make a debut is to go out there and win the race. And they won the race off a Dale Jr. pit call.
Yep. They did.
Uh, he was not, if you go and you listen to the Dale Jr. download where he talked about it, he was just not a warm body on the pit box. He was making calls. He was rolling tires. Down on he was actually doing what the crew chief for that team does on race day. He went to pit practice and practiced it out. He was with the car all day long from the time they pulled it off the truck till the time they put it back on the truck after the race. I mean, he was there. He was present, just like he was at the Daytona 500 as an owner. So Dale has experienced some new things this year, which a lot of people at 50 years old don't get to experience all this new stuff. But I mean, what a way to make a debut. And at this point, he did say that he's retired from crew chiefing. He wants to go out on top. But then there was an issue, I think it was at Atlanta Xfinity race. The Atlanta Xfinity race, and they were like, somebody had like 3 lug nuts loose or something.
Ooh.
So Dale was like texting Craig Ives right now.
Oh boy.
So he may come out of crew chief. He may go crew chief of Hendrick Motorsports. It was a 17 car. Had some issues that they're expecting the crew chief. So he's like texting Greg Ives right now. So we can see Dale crew chiefing for a competitor.
That would be interesting. Yeah, as you said, yeah, he was very involved with taking the role on. There were a lot of videos. If you don't follow Junior Motorsports on social media, they got a lot of good videos of him filling the roles. As you said, one of them being him rolling the tires. And he had a big old smile on his face. You could tell he was having a lot of fun with it because it wasn't something he probably had originally thought of doing. So Dell Jr. has officially now done it all. So
yeah, I mean, cup owner, crew chief, mechanic.
Yeah.
You name it. He's done it. Probably the only thing he hasn't done is write the checks.
Yeah.
Kelly takes care of all the check writing.
Probably a good idea.
Over there at Junior Motorsports. Yeah, probably.
If you've
but Dale has mentioned on his podcast that he is cheap. Which is why he has the money that he has, because we know he's made millions over his career and he still has millions because he's cheap.
Yep. I don't blame him.
So, one thing I disagree with Dale Earnhardt Jr. on is there are steaks that do not require A1 sauce. Okay. He thinks every steak requires A1 sauce. You know for a fact, because you've eaten my steaks, that there are steaks that do not require A1 sauce.
But don't you put A1 sauce in the marinade you use?
I do not.
Okay.
It is a steak marinade, and it has liquid smoke and Worcestershire, however you pronounce that funky sauce. And then a few other ingredients that I will not mention that are private to my heart in my steak marinade. But no, A1 is not part of my steak marinade.
Huh. Okay. Well, very well. At least he's using the right steak sauce to put on his steaks, but I agree it does not belong in every steak. So yeah.
It was a good race. I mean, except for that little dust up there that Chase and Justin Allgaier had.
Yep.
Going into turn 1, I believe it was. Was it turn 1 or the tunnel turn? I think it was going into turn 1. where the 7 got really, 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 really crazy loose and came up on the 17.
Yeah.
But again, that shows you experienced drivers, right? Because Justin's been in the series for a long time. Chase knows how to race these cars. Um, had that been a Tanner Gray and maybe a Sammy Smith or something like that, there would have been several cars wadded up coming out of the turn, in
Mm,
the wall, into each other. But with Chase and Justin having the experience that they did, Chase knew he felt Justin coming up and was able to give him some room so that he didn't make contact.
right.
As much as and didn't wipe out the whole field because they were at the front of the field. I mean, this could have been a Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta wreck.
Yep.
Uh, had we had a couple rookies up there driving like this.
Indeed. So good racing from the veterans. Your top 10, Connor Zillage takes one. He said it's technically an oval win, but he also said it's technically a triangle. So take it as you wish. When he posted, he won. Jesse Love comes in second. Christian Eckes third. Chase Elliott with the recovery after the whoopsie with Allgaier comes back to fourth. Ryan Seeds with a good run in fifth. Carson Quapple sixth. Sam Mayer seventh. Sammy Smith eighth. Taylor Gray ninth. And Justin Allgaier 10th.
Yeah, a lot of Chevrolets there in the top 10 at this track. So fastest lap was Chase. No big surprise there. I mean, if a Hendrick Motorsports car shows up on track, you expect them to be fast.
Definitely. Oh, excuse me.
All right, now we have the Cup Series race, which um, at this point, Cup Series races are the second best race of the weekend.
Yeah.
So it's not really even the main event anymore.
For the most part, I would agree. I mean, Pocono was pretty good. I will be honest. I don't know if it was you. I texted or my league, but I said watching the Pocono race makes me want to race Pocono on the sim. Just because it kind
Yeah,
of
that was me.
it looked. I probably did both, to be honest. Um, it's not that there was a lot of like back and forth racing. It looked fun. I can't really describe why I felt that way at that time, but
Well, see, that's the way I feel road courses. When there's a road course race, I want to go turn on the old PlayStation 2 and go and run a Watkins Glen or the Old Spice road course that they had on '06. The fantasy track.
Old Spice
I want to go
Boulder
and run
Hill.
those types of tracks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but man, can you believe that Chase Briscoe? They said he saved somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 6 laps of fuel.
That's crazy, especially for such a big track of Pocono. Um, that's some huge saving. I honestly don't know how he did it. So
Yeah, and the cars behind him. I mean, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott, even fast race cars. They had plenty of fuel, and Denny got to him and couldn't get around him. I mean, even with him saving fuel. But I did hear Chase in one of his interviews. He said there was some couple of laps where I was actually going faster trying to save fuel than I was when I was, trying to go full throttle because of the way he had to lift off going into the corners and then pick back up coming out of the corners. It was actually creating a faster lap time because he wasn't having to slow down as much.
that's
Um,
interesting, actually.
yeah. So, but it was a Pocono race. I mean, Pocono is kind of like Michigan. It's always been one of those fuel mileage
Yeah.
races. sellout crowd. Ever since Pocono, Michigan is another example. Ever since they went down to one race a year, their crowd has been absolutely outstanding.
Yes.
So, and this could be, and there's a lot of talk in the podcast world, NASCAR podcast, with people that work within the industry, not like you and I that have other jobs, but people that work within the industry are talking about this could lead to a lot of racetracks losing a date. Because those one date, would you rather fill it up one time a year or half fill it up two times a year? I mean, it's almost like you take a race away and people want to see that more. So having a crowd like that, and then a compelling race. It wasn't a great race by any means, but it was compelling. That last 20, 30 laps is like, can Chase save enough fuel? When is Chase going to run out of fuel? Is Chase going to run out of fuel?
Mm-hmm.
Is a caution going to come out that's going to cause a green white checker that he's not going to have enough fuel to do? I mean, there's a lot of strategy talk, but one of the things that I don't know if you've noticed about Amazon's coverage, when of course they covered that, but you go back to also Mexico when SVG had a 15-second lead, right? And they did it at Pocono too. They will go and find the battles,
Mm-hmm.
even if the battle's for 15th, and they'll put it on screen and talk about it.
Yep.
And that's something that we have not seen. They used to do it TNT, TBS, ESPN, TNN, the old Nashville network, all those that used to cover back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. They would do that. If there nothing exciting is going on up front, hey, the battle's 15th. There's 5 cars back there battling for 15th. Let's go back there and let's talk about them. Let's put them on TV. And as I believe Amazon did a really good job with that in all of their races, but especially Pocono, while focusing on Chase Briscoe, while focusing on his fuel mileage, they're also showing the battles throughout the field. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I would definitely agree. That really helps, in my opinion, with viewership as well. Because you don't want to tune into the race and see the leader, 10, 15 seconds ahead of the pack. You want to tune into the race and see who's going against who for what position. Even though it may be more toward the middle or, back of the field, they're still fighting for it because it could change. If something happens, it could give them that one spot opportunity that they needed at the end. So Amazon did great. I 100% loved how Amazon did it. Pocono being their last race, of course, very sad because I really enjoyed how well they did. I enjoyed who they had in the broadcast booth. I enjoyed who they had down in the pits and, their reporters. It was really, really good. And I'm sure at the end we'll kind of do a compare contrast with Amazon versus TNT's first race. But Amazon did amazing in my opinion. Yeah.
I think they took a very low bar because if you watched what Fox does, I think Amazon took a very low bar and raised it very, very high.
Mm-hmm.
They took a just to put this in some track and field terms, they took a 4-foot high jump bar and made it into a 25-foot pole vault bar. You're not going to be able. It's really going to, the other NASCAR networks are going to have to raise their standards. They're just going to have to.
Absolutely.
But anyway, top 10 for Pocono: Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott, John Hunter Nemechek with a really good run for Nemechek, Kyle Larson, Ryan Preece, Brad Keselowski, and Austin Cindric. Do want to give a shout out to Eric Jones in the 13th. He finished 13th, and the reason that I mention him is he has went from 30th to 18th in points in 6 weeks.
Huge.
And you can see Nemechek running better too. So that whole Legacy Motor Club, they have found something that's making their cars a lot faster. And
Oh yeah.
Pocono was one of those races. I mean, Eric's really always been a good road course racer, so his performance in Mexico not a big shock. Um, but him and Nemechek coming out at Pocono and both having respectable finishes
It
is really, really, you're really seeing this team start to turn it around.
oh yeah, it helps both the driver and the teams see what they need for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing that we need to talk about is the 2311 brake issues. This is not the first Pocono race where 2311 has had brake issues.
Mhm.
I don't know what they've got going on over there, but whatever they're doing is not working.
No, cuz it was not a good race for either Reddick or Wallace at all. Both finishing 32nd and 36th. Um, which not to look down on Bubba because Bubba is pretty good at a lot of these tracks. Pocono, sadly, not one of them. But Reddick especially is surprising to be that far down. If you didn't know why, obviously the braking, but if you hadn't have known about that, Reddick being 32nd, nobody would expect something like that. So
Yeah, and I had him in my fantasy lineup, and I'm like, he's running top five, and next thing I know, he's like, it says he's in the pits, and I'm like, and I unfortunately at that point in time I wasn't watching live, I was in a meeting,
mm,
and I'm like, wait a second, what? Wait, Tyler was just in the top five. What the heck is going on here? And the little thing comes up at the bottom of the NASCAR app. It says, Tyler Reddick to the pits for brake issues. And of course, at that time, Riley Herbst and Bubba Wallace had already had their brake issues. So I don't know what 2311 is doing that Joe Gibbs Racing is not doing because, Joe Gibbs Racing finishes 1-2. So what is Joe Gibbs doing with their brakes that 2311 is not? Whatever it is, 2311 needs to fix it.
yep.
Or because Pocono, this is, like I said, not the first time they've had problems with Pocono brakes at Pocono.
No, not at all. I do want to shout out RFK. All three of their drivers finished in the top 10, which is huge. Priest and Busher have been pretty solid with the runs, but Keselowski needed that for sure, as he's had a lot of struggles um, this season.
Yeah, for sure. And Brad's going to have to win to get himself out of the hole that he's in.
Yes, most definitely, especially with there being, what is it, 12 different winners now
Hmm.
after Atlanta. So,
Yeah, and then Denny, no surprise, got the fastest lap out of that race.
yep.
Denny's always been really, really good at Pocono. Won there in his rookie season, so um,
Well, that's lovely. I'm trying to move over to the truck series for Lime Rock Park. But for some reason, the app is going bazingas and is trying to show me all the information for Chicago Street Course. So the
uh,
app is malfunctioning. So you're going to have to take care of kind of talk about Lime Rock.
yeah. So NASCAR's first trip to Lime Rock Park for any series. It's a road course that's been around for a very long time, um, and it was a Corey Heim race.
Yep.
He was one lap away from having a perfect race, and he lost the lead for like 100 feet on a restart. And Ty Majeski crossed the line. I think it was Ty. Crossed the line about 2 feet ahead of Corey for that 100 yards or whatever it was, and was able to lead that one lap and keep the perfect race from happening for the first time since 1997. But anyway, So Corey figured out how to win one.
Yep.
For a change. He didn't have a flat tire in the last restart. Didn't have anybody knock him out of the way. Didn't have anything, any kind of majorly big lead and a caution come out and everybody pits in front of him or pits behind him and runs him over, or he pits and nobody else's pits. I mean, they finally figured out how to win a race. And I was, like Corey Heim led 99 of the 100 laps, but all in all, it was still a decent Truck Series road course win race.
Yeah.
For sure. So, but Corey Haim took the win. Ty Majeski, Giovanni Ruggiero finished third. Ben Rhodes fourth. Cam Waters fifth. Chandler Smith sixth. Josh Balicki seventh. Brent Cruz eighth. Tyler Reddick. Daniel Hemrick ninth, and Tyler Ankrum 10th. So I got my Tylers and my Hemricks mixed up, but and fastest lap. I'm looking for the little. I think it was Corey. I think it was Corey Heim.
I'm pretty sure it was Corey. Oh, never mind. That's right.
Yeah, this isn't gonna tell me. Let me look, see if my other. Y'all could stop now. I got people texting me. It's like y'all can quit now. Let's see here. Truck race at Lime Rock Park. There it is. No, that's Xfinity. Did I not get a truck race? Okay, I didn't get a truck race rundown. Okay, that would be my fault. So I do not have the fastest lap. I apologize.
Give me 1 sec. Let me finish going through the lap times. It was Corey with a 54.94. Everyone else was in the 55 or 56 mark.
Okay, so I was right. It was Corey. Huh. Big surprise. Like I said, almost perfect race.
Yeah, pretty much.
For Corey.
So, all right, moving on to
once again the best race of the weekend, the Xfinity Series. At Atlanta. Big shocker in this race was the 21's mechanical issues.
Yes.
Basically took them out of the running, which left the door wide open for the rest of the field.
Yeah.
Because we've just come to these races, it's Austin Hill.
Yep.
This style of drafting is Austin Hill. So when he started having his mechanical issues, everybody knew this was the time to capitalize at a drafting track.
Oh yeah, most definitely. If I remember right, there wasn't too many yellows until the final stage. And it was mostly because of debris.
Yeah, there was only 9 cautions in this race, which you would expect. Of course, one of those cautions was because of rain.
Yes, there was a red flag for the rain. I remember that.
They did call this on the Dale Jr. download. The race was it today? It was either that or door bumper clear. The race that never ended.
Yeah.
The never ending race, because it was so late when everybody got done and got to go to bed. So, but again, it was a good race, and there wasn't a whole bunch of crazy crashes that we've come to expect with the Xfinity Series. Yeah, that's about all I can say about it.
Yeah,
Sorry, I dropped my phone.
I would agree. Good race. Of course, lots of cautions. I'm sure rain didn't help at all either. But yeah, overall a good race. Good race to the finish, for sure. Letting giving pretty much everyone, as you said, everyone else a chance with Austin Hill having problems. So I'll do the rundown. Nicholas Sanchez gets the win.
Yeah, that's his first Xfinity win. Had a couple truck wins. Last year, Big Machine Racing has won before with Tyler Reddick. But they've had some good drivers. Parker Kligerman was over there, almost won a couple races. Had one stolen from him. I mean, literally.
Yeah.
I believe it was at the Roval. Stolen from him. But good to see Nick Sanchez get a win. Good to see that team get a win. And I don't get to usually watch the Xfinity and truck races live. I usually have to go back and watch them, later in the evening after everybody in the house goes to bed. So a lot of times I know who won. And at races like Atlanta, it's like, okay, well, how did he win? Did he win because he survived, or did he win because he was up front all night?
Right.
And Nick was up front all night. I
Yep.
mean, all night. It wasn't just a show up in the last stage and try to compete. He was there. So, this was not what I would call a fluke victory. This was an earned victory. And Nick has raced really well at other tracks, so could go out there and get him another one. But this locks him in the playoffs.
It does.
After barely missing the playoffs the past couple of years.
Yep. So good for Nick, for getting that. Carson Quapple comes up second. Sam Mayer third. Connor Zillis fourth. A good oval run for Connor, capitalizing off of his, Pocono win. Taylor Gray fifth. Jesse Love sixth. Eric Almirola seventh. Daniel Dye eighth. Kyle Seeds ninth. And Jeremy Clements 10th.
Yeah, and Jeremy, it's been a long time since Jeremy Clements has had a good run. And we've talked before where we're big fans of like Ryan Sieg, and Jeremy being underdog teams, being self-owned, family-owned teams. So it's good to see when you get to see Jeremy up front. If you don't know his story, go and check out his story. He has a very unique story. But yeah, it's really good to see. And then even Kyle Sieg, I mean, I cannot remember the last time Kyle Sieg had a top 10. I can't remember the last time he had a top 20, to be perfectly honest with you. So coming out of Atlanta with that, and he beat drivers that were on the track that are good, so yeah.
Yep. You're gonna have to say who had fastest lap because this wasn't showing. Oh, never mind. It didn't show lap times, but it did say who had fastest lap. It was Austin Hill.
But before the mechanical issues.
Yes, before the oopsies. So good Atlanta race for Xfinity. So we will move on to the Cup race, which.
Didn't you just hate that? That was just like the worst race in the world, had the worst winner in the world. I mean, I cannot believe how the fans booed when the winner got out of his car.
Yeah.
Sarcasm, people.
Yeah.
It was his home track. What do you think's gonna? Most popular driver wins at his home track. How do you think the crowd's gonna react?
Oh, they might go a little too crazy.
Right?
But Dawsonville got to sound the siren finally this season. He's been searching for the win pretty much since the beginning of the season, and we finally capitalized after, everyone else had wrecked out.
Oh my gosh, what a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, fairly clean stage 1, and then green flag of stage 2 and the field wrecks.
Yep.
I mean, this is the wreck that we expect to see in the Xfinity series.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the Cup series, but it was just chaos.
If you look at the first wreck, look at who wrecked. That's one of the least expected person to cause the caution. So Denny Hamlin was pushing John Hunter Nemechek. Nemechek got loose, smacked the wall, but then an amazing save by him and kept it straight, didn't overcorrect or undercorrect, and kept going. But Denny just completely lost it from the checkup after that and just took out everybody.
Yeah, it was almost like the air when Nemechek bounced off the wall. It was like it took the air off of Denny's car in a way that shot him into oblivion.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, just the amount of cars. And Atlanta is not a super wide track like Talladega where you've got room to avoid it. Atlanta still has the grass on the backstretch, so you can't just dive down and not hit nothing or not slide, because you're going to hit that grass, you're going to slide.
Mm-hmm.
You may not hit nothing, but you're still going to hit that grass, you're going to slide. So Talladega, Daytona, they don't have that. They've got that room, runoff room, and maybe that's something that Atlanta needs to look at after this weekend, is to have that concrete back there to give cars the opportunity to have that room to move down. But I mean, the way this wreck happened, there was no
there was nowhere to go for
everybody
anybody.
Was in it.
Yeah, except for the ones in front of them.
Yeah, so but believe it or not, it only took out like 3 or 4 cars were totally eliminated from the race. I mean,
yep.
So and then we saw other cars that were involved in the wreck get back up front at certain points during the race. Yep. So
it was kind of the second race that took a lot of those, or the second big crash that took a lot of the cars that were still going out of the race completely. Not that they were out of the race when that wreck, the second wreck happened. A lot of the cars just went straight to the garage, and the teams just went straight to work. I'm going to take a pause talking about the race here. I'm going to talk about TNT. That was awesome what they did with being inside the garage, showing the teams working on the car. I've never seen that before. I've only seen outside of the garages. They were in the garage.
Yeah, seeing that again, like I mentioned, Amazon doing stuff that they did back in the 80s and 90s. That's something they used to do in the 80s and 90s. If there was somebody caught in a wreck, if they were because back in those days, if they blew an engine during the race, they could go back and change an engine. And TV back in those days, they were back there. They were in the garage. They were interviewing the crew chief. They were interviewing the driver. Sometimes they even grabbed the one of the mechanics working on the car and be like, "Hey, are you going to be able to fix this?"
Yep.
Or how long is this engine change going to take? And they used to do that, and it's good to see TNT bring that back. And on that note, let's talk about TNT's post-race coverage real quick. They went to Victory Lane, and yes, they did the front stretch interview, but they also went and showed Victory Lane on TV.
Mm-hmm. Which was awesome. But TNT did amazing with their coverage for the first race. They literally took what Amazon did, as you said, taking the low bar and raising it to the, high pole vault jump, whatever you said it was. I forgot. I didn't do field stuff, so to be fair, I didn't even do track. I just know what track is. But they took that bar, they raised it with Amazon, going from Fox to Amazon, and TNT just was like, we're going to keep the bar there or try to raise it even more. I was amazed with how well this first race for TNT was, and I liked the TV graphics they had because they used a lot of the old original TNT NASCAR graphics and just updated it a little bit. That was awesome because it's like someone like me didn't get to see back when TNT was covering NASCAR because one, I was little and don't remember much, and two, because I wasn't really into NASCAR. So now you got me who's getting to experience the old with the new, and that's the type of stuff I like. I like seeing how the old stuff works, especially coming to the new stuff. So TNT did great in my opinion. So I'm sure you'll kind of put your input on what they did too, as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I enjoyed, and I'll tell you what else TNT did really well, that they did have the same booth that Amazon had with Dale Jr., Steve Letarte, and Adam Alexander. But honestly, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. You know that they were two different networks, because the production quality and the booth, the transition was so smooth from Amazon into TNT, that it really came off. It really came off almost like they had scripted it. I mean, to be honest with you, and I know there were some people that were like, "Oh, you can tell we're back on network TV because you got full screen commercials," which is true. But I will give TNT credit; they did run a lot of side by sides, and there wasn't a whole lot of full screen commercials. There really wasn't. There was a few, mostly during cautions, and stage breaks, but it was just, the bar has been set so high now with Amazon. Oh, excuse me, Amazon, and then the first race of TNT, that NBC now has 4 weeks. They better start. They had better get to scrambling, to be able to keep that bar, because we know Fox is not going to. We know Fox is going to let that bar fall back down.
Yep.
And we're going to get the Fox with the usual Fox expectations. With the cartoon graphics, which they're just ridiculous. And all the other terrible stuff that we've been on Fox for the past couple of years, since we started this podcast.
Yeah.
NBC, if NBC wants to keep the bar high, they better get to work now. They cannot wait until the week of their first race and be like, "Oh, the bar's way up there. How are we going to get there?" They need to have a plan, because Amazon knocked it out of the park. TNT came up to bat. Guess what they did? They knocked it out of the park too. So, where Fox, all they did was they would hit ground out every time they go to bat. So, really impressed with what TNT was willing to. I'm thinking TNA wrestling for some reason. What TNT was able to do with the transition, and just made it look so smooth that you really, if you didn't know, you wouldn't have known they were different networks.
Yeah, very true. So amazing. I'm excited to see how the other 4 races go. Along with, seeing how they do at the road courses. So we got the Chicago street race coming up next. Not that we're fans of the street racing, but it's a road course. How are they going to cover it just as good as Amazon did with the Mexico City race course? So I'm excited to see how well they go. But let's finish wrapping up the race, and then we'll go into the lovely bracket challenge. Not that anybody is left. So Chase Elliott gets it done. Beats Brad Keselowski, who finishes second. Alex Bowman in third. Tyler Reddick fourth. Eric Jones in fifth. Great run by Eric. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. somehow survives. That's a miracle. Finishing sixth. Zane Smith, seventh. Good run for Zane. Ty Dillon, eighth. Huge top 10 for Ty. Chris Buescher
for
ninth,
sure.
and Carson Hocevar, who was in the wreck and was taken out for a while with a huge bounce back to finish 10th. So awesome, pretty awesome top 10, I would say. And I do understand that this new Atlanta with the drafting and fuel saving isn't really preferred by a lot of people. I thought this race was really good, just because there was actually a lot of back and forth going on. Of course, that being mostly from the draft. But I really enjoyed this race. Even at the end, there was a lot going on at the end between the top 5 drivers, I would say. Mostly the top 4, but top 5 even. There was a lot of back and forth between Elliott, Keselowski, Bowman, and Reddick. I even got mad at Bowman a few times because he wasn't helping Elliott and would just either leave Elliott or not pair up with Elliott. And it's like, y'all are teammates. Y'all got to work together. Until that, those last couple of laps that helped Elliott get around Keselowski for the win. So I really enjoyed it. But I know there's some people that aren't a big fan of Atlanta since the new pavement and drafting kind of style track it's become.
Well, I enjoy it. I mean, because I enjoy this type of racing. I'm not really sure Atlanta's the right. I'm not really sure a mile and a half is the right venue for something like this. But the aggressive. What I liked about this race that we don't see at Talladega and Daytona is the aggressiveness. They were making moves. They were going down. They were making 3 wide passes. I mean, Chase Elliott took them 3 wide several times throughout the day. And it's one of the better drafting tracks, but it could be that because it's the mile and a half instead of the 2.5 mile track where they do all the fuel saving ridiculousness that they do. And I'm sure they're still saving fuel at the Atlanta race. But here's the thing: at Daytona and Talladega, they are full throttle all the way around, or they should be anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We know they're not, but either way, they don't have to lift in the corners at all.
Nope.
At those tracks. But at Atlanta, if you don't lift, you're going headfirst into the wall. Because it's a tighter turn and the track just doesn't have the grip that it used to have.
Right.
But the cars are out there, they're slipping and sliding. This race actually gives drivers an opportunity that survive, an opportunity to be able to show their aggressiveness,
right.
Which we see the drivers that are not good at this type of racing. Why are they not good at this type of racing? Because they're not aggressive. Okay. And then we get on to Brad, we get on to Joey all the time because we say they're too aggressive. Okay. So, but there is a happy medium aggressive in there. And I want to say Chase and Brad and Alex and Tyler, Reddick, and, even a few others, Chris Buescher, for one, did a really good job being on the edge of being out of control, but not going over the line.
Right.
And in their aggressiveness, and in the aggressive moves that they made. I mean, yeah, Chase went 3 wide, but he was also smart enough to back out when he needed to back out.
Right.
It's not. I really don't think we need Atlanta like that to. I think they need to do something different with Daytona and Talladega as far as like fuel mileage and stage breaks. But I'm not mad at the race. I thought it was a good race for what it is.
Yep.
Except for that start of stage 2, that chaos that we talked about, that wreck that wiped out half the field, wiped out 3/4 of my fantasy bracket. Which was really good because guess who forgot to fill in their fantasy this week?
Yeah, that was me.
Both of my opponents forgot to fill out, but you still at least got over 100 points.
Yeah.
without picking.
I don't even know. I know I was pretty mad still though at the end because I had Elliott in the garage and I forgot he was in the garage and went, oh crap, I should have moved him in after the stage 2 whoopsie doopsie.
Yeah, that wiped out half of my thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Fastest lap was John Hunter Nemechek for the Atlanta Cup race.
Yeah, that team definitely found something.
So we'll go to we'll kind of jump into fantasy here in just a minute. Not that, as you said, you absolutely probably just knocked us out of the park as usual, right as of right now. But let's talk about that in-season bracket challenge that they did. Race 1.
Oh, you're talking about Atlanta. The one that there after Atlanta, there's no perfect brackets left, none whatsoever.
Absolutely. Yeah, because of the chaos, a lot of drivers that were expected to move on to the next round don't. And I would say the biggest curveball / upset was the Denny Hamlin versus Ty Dillon.
But don't you just love Ty? I mean, he comes out and he uses Denny's line on him. It's like, hey, all you Denny fans, I just eliminated your favorite driver.
I love that. That was great. That was a little payback to Denny. Ty getting through that and surviving and then ending in a top 10 was impressive for him, for sure. So
when I look at my bracket, the only ones I got right because of that wreck is AJ Allmendinger and Chris Buescher.
Oh dang!
That's it. That's I mean, well, I did get Ty Gibbs right. I did get him advancing. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, I got Ty Gibbs, AJ Allmendinger, and Chris Buescher.
You only had three correct.
Well, I did get Bubba. I did select Chase, Bubba, and Brad. So I got 6 correct.
Okay, there you go.
Which I guess isn't bad, but it's not that great. I mean, 6 out of 16 matchups is not that great.
It's not the best. But it's more than me because I never submitted my bracket. Whoops. Could have won $1 million. Who knows? No, I couldn't.
No, you wouldn't have, because you'd have been nobody has a chance to win $1 million now.
Well, not now,
except for the driver that wins this.
Yeah.
But that's why NASCAR set this up at Atlanta, because they're like, look, if there's a wreck that wipes out half the field, we save $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So fantasy, Pocono was all you. At 244. I came in second with 184, and Trey comes in last with 139. I did remind him, by the way, for Pocono. So you smacked us on that one.
My Pocono lineup was Hamlin, Briscoe, Keselowski, Hocevar, and Buescher. I had Tyler Reddick in the garage. I had Chris Buescher beating Joey Logano, which happened. I had Carson Hocevar beating Stenhouse, which happened. I had Ryan Blaney beating Chase Elliott, which happened. And I had Denny Hamlin beating William Byron, which happened. So I also got all the bonus points, which when you get all the bonus points, that really doesn't help you guys.
No, because I'm pretty sure I didn't get them, because my lineup was actually pretty similar. I had Hamlin, Hocevar, Then I had Nemechek, Gibbs, and Priest, and then Elliott was in the garage. So for my Pocono lineup, which also ended up being my Atlanta lineup, which actually Hamlin's really the only one that bit me in the butt there. If I had switched out Hamlin and Elliott, I probably would have had a really good points for Atlanta. However, I did not. But Atlanta, you still came out on top with 156. And Trey and myself ended up tying with 98. So.
Oh, okay. I thought you got 100. Well, I had Dylan, Cindric, Priest, Kozlowski, and Bowman, which is probably my saving graces.
Yes.
With Kozlowski and Bowman finishing second and third. Because the other three were caught up in that wreck, and then of course Blaney, who was out of the race. And I can't tell you my head-to-heads because they're gone.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a snapshot of it. So, good pick for Chicago SVG. Duh. Let's see here. Good pick, Christopher Bell. Duh. Avoid Denny Hamlin. Avoid AJ Allmendinger. This is a road course. What's wrong with these people? Sleeper Ty Gibbs, which after what he did at Mexico, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ty is going to be a sleeper at a road course.
Gibbs would definitely probably be a good move to have for the street race. Yeah, that's what's up next. The next two tracks we get is the Chicago Street Race and Sonoma with Xfinity Cup. There are no truck races until the 25th. So the next 3 weeks, there's no truck race. So there should be, if we get the chance, there should be one more episode before everything's completely different. You probably will be mostly moved by next episode, though. But I will be literally less than a week away of getting married. Again, depending if we get the chance to do it before I travel.
Oh, wow.
What?
I've moved up. I'm just sitting here looking at fantasy. I was ranked in the 21,000s bracket just 3 weeks ago. Now I am 11,843.
Oh, wow.
So I have gained 10,000 positions in the past 3 weeks. I wonder if I want to get that down to double digits or 3 digits. See if I can get it down to where I'm in the 9,000 range or even lower.
That would be pretty cool if you could. It's sadly not.
This is the highest I've ever been ranked.
It's sadly not showing me where I'm at. So
you've got to go to your league standings.
That's what I'm at, but it's not telling me. My app's being goofy. So, oh well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking at my entries and it's like, my percentage is 95.7.
Oh wow.
My pick percentage.
That's a good percentage.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm sure Atlanta and Talladega and Daytona this year did not help a whole lot with that because there's been ridiculousnesses in all of those races.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, fun races. 2 road courses in a row, 3 in the next 8. You mentioned we've got 12 winners right now. We could possibly add AJ Allmendinger to the list. We could add a Ty Gibbs to the list. We could add a Eric Jones to the list. We know how well he's run. at some of these tracks and how he's running so much better. Now we can see a Brad Keselowski pull off a win, probably not a road course, but at a Dover or Indianapolis, something like that. We do have Daytona left
Yep.
in the regular season, so we could potentially be looking at 16 winners over the next few weeks. Bubba Wallace could pull off a win. Carson Hocevar could shock us. Michael McDowell could sweep in there and steal one of the road courses. So lots of good racing to look forward to over the next 8 weeks. Chase Elliott's moved up to second in points. Hendrick Motorsports is now 1, 2, 3. William Byron is doing everything that he could possibly do to lose the regular season championship. So Denny mentioned it on his podcast this week. He's like, between myself and Tyler Reddick myself and Kyle Larson and William Byron, we do not want to win this regular season championship because all three of those have held the regular season points lead for the majority of the season, and just to lose it in the final 10 race, 8-9 races leading up to the to the playoffs. So we're going to hope that William doesn't do that this year, because he's still my championship favorite.
Yeah.
Had a couple, but he's had a couple bad weeks at Pocono, and then at with that wreck in Atlanta. Had there not been that wreck at Atlanta, he probably would have finished top. Probably would have been up there with his teammates, with Chase and Alex. But he'll turn it on. So again, lot of exciting racing to look forward to. There has been a lot of discussion about the point standings, though. I don't know if you've noticed that on X, but there's been a lot of point system discussions. Even on the podcast, there's been a lot of point system discussions. I would suggest everybody go and listen to Kenny Conversations with Kenny Wallace that he had with Mark Martin a few weeks ago. Excellent interview. Excellent listen. If you don't want spoilers, because Kenny does drop a couple of spoilers in there of some upcoming retirements and some other things that are coming up, you need to go and listen to his Kenny Conversations with Justin Allgaier and his dad, and a couple of other previous, like the previous 2 or 3 right before Mark Martin, before you listen to the Mark Martin, or you will be shocked. There are some cats that get let out of the bag that Kenny let out of the bag, but very good. And Mark Martin was very clear about where he stands. He wants to be a voice for the fans in NASCAR, and we need that voice. Respected driver.
Yes, very.
With over 100 wins with all 3 series combined, 5 IROC championships. He's finished second in the points, cup points, more times than he cares to remember, much less any of us fans of his. But if Mark Martin cannot get NASCAR to listen to the fans, I'm not really sure we have hope. I mean, it's Mark Martin.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So hopefully, it's good to know we have someone that's very respected, throughout NASCAR period, to be the voice of the fans. He's very involved. If you tag him 9 times out of 10, he'll at least like what you tagged him in. And I know you've had a lot of conversations with him. He has a lot of conversations with other fans I've seen, just from replies on other fans' posts. So he's very involved, and he's very much pushing for his voice to be heard, with using the fans' voice standing right behind him. Very appreciated.
And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take drivers of yesterday, but it's also going to take today's drivers to come out and be like, look, this is what the fans are saying. You say it's a loud majority on social media. but it's a minority of our fans. But it's really not. It's the majority of the fans are saying this that aren't on social media. I know a lot of NASCAR fans that are not on social media. You probably do too, and they're voicing the same things that we are voicing, that we are seeing other people voice on social media. They're just not on social media. So when NASCAR says that it's a loud minority on social media, no. It's a majority on social media, but it's also a majority of your hardcore fans. It's the fans that buy tickets to the races. It's the fans that buy hats. It's the fans that buy t-shirts. It's the fans that buy flags like what I had back here behind. Of fans that buy the diecasts and go to the races and go camping in the infield. Those are, you may have a casual fan buy a ticket to a race, but they are not going to camp in the infield Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night.
Mm-mm.
They're going to come on Sunday. They're going to watch the race. They may buy a few beers. Actually, they're probably going to bring their own cooler with snacks and their own drinks in it, and they're going to go home. And they may never come back to the racetrack. Your hardcore fans, not only they're sitting in the stands, yeah, but they're also camping out there all weekend long, and they're spending money at the merchandise trailers, and they're getting online and they're buying their merchandise, and those are the fans that Mark Martin wants to represent.
Mm-hmm.
And we need a Mark Martin, we need a Dale Jr., but at the same time we need a Chase Elliott, we need a William Byron, we need a Kyle Larson to come out and say, well, my fans love the playoffs, but they really want to see this.
Mm-hmm.
Or my fans love road course racing, but they don't like street racing. That's what we need these drivers to do for our voices to be heard. And Mark Martin, hopefully, is step number one in going in that direction.
Absolutely. Excuse me. Well, yeah. Mark is the voice that we need, but you're right. We do need the voice of today as well with these current drivers. So who knows what can happen? Hopefully, maybe still a long shot, but Mark being their voice is definitely a bit of hope. That something will change with these points and playoff system we have. That is all I have. Do you have any last things?
I do have. I know I said I was going to do a lot of reviews while I was packing up. Unfortunately, I got 3 reviews done. Right now, all of my diecasts, every single one of them. I do have some 164s here in the office that I haven't packed up yet, but other than that, almost all of my diecasts are in a tote in storage right now. Just because of the speed that we're trying to get things done, because we've got plenty of time to move, and we don't want to rush it. We don't want to. If you've ever been in Arkansas in July, it's 210 degrees. With the air is so heavy you can feel it when you're walking through it. You know, it's like walking through a hot shower all day long, with heavy water pressure. So we're not trying to make this process we got to do it this week. We got to get done. If we're not done, we're in trouble. So we're taking our time. We're packing everything, and getting ready for this move. We plan on starting to move furniture this weekend, so not going to be a whole lot of content from me. As far as game streaming, I've turned on my PlayStation once in the past 2 weeks, and that was to download an update for WWE 2K25. That's what I've got going on. So don't expect a whole lot of content from me over the next month or so, really the whole month of July. But in August, when school gets back and we get back to our normal life and we get everything unpacked, we'll turn it up.
Sounds good. As y'all know, this month is busy, obviously for them, but also for me with wedding stuff going on and trying to get. I'm also going to be starting the process of moving because I can't live in a tiny apartment by myself anymore, because it's technically not allowed by who I work for. So gotta start packing stuff up myself for moving. So July is going to be pretty busy. Beginning of August will also be kind of busy for me. I'll try to get I'll keep streaming when I can. With if I just have a good little bit of free time. But not much content besides the league race. However, the last race for until the playoffs for me will be this next race at Texas on the 8th. Sadly, going to end up missing the next 3 races after that, as there was a whoopsies with making the schedule. They're going to try to get either Bristol or a selected road course on the bye week instead of having a bye week. So I'll be missing that race along with Charlotte and Indianapolis, which sucks because those were 2 races I was looking forward to, because it's Charlotte and Indianapolis. But sadly going to miss those. Hopefully we can get a win at Texas to keep us pretty high in the point standing so we can make it to the playoffs. But if not, not a big deal. The guys did a lot of the guys in the league did congratulate me on getting married. So it's good to know I have they're happy for me. But so not much really. Honestly, that's probably going to be the only thing I can get out content wise, with everything that's going on, myself as well. So just stay tuned for the iRacing race, the league race on the 8th. But then after that, I wouldn't, sadly don't expect anything until August. Just with scheduling being the summer and so much going on with moving and me getting married. And but enjoy the summer. The time you have. School's going to start sooner than later for all the young ones and college people as well. So
yeah, and we'll try to get a when SterlingRider's home, we'll try to get together and maybe do a podcast, cover a couple races. Just again, that's just depending on time,
right.
Because while he's home, it's going to be rush,
as it always is when I do go home.
It's going to be an Atlanta NASCAR race.
Yeah,
where it's going to be rush, wreck.
Yep, I'm sure it will be. But I'm not too worried. So that's what's coming up. So we'll do what we can, but apologies if we just can't. So that being said, we'll wrap it up with the shout outs.
Yeah, so we've got our usual podcasts, Scene Vault podcast, Door Bumper Clear, Dale Jr. Download. Man, if y'all are not listening to these podcasts, y'all are missing out on some really good insider information. Most of our information, this is where they come from. They don't come from reading the newspaper, or there's really not any NASCAR TV stuff anymore. So we follow these podcasts. We follow these guys on social media. So Actions Detrimental, The Teardown, Happy Hour with Kevin Harvick, Corey LaJoie and his Stacking Pennies. Follow Bob Pockrass, Matt Weaver. Man, I'm telling you, Matt Weaver puts out some stuff. Some great. All of these guys put out some great content.
Mm-hmm.
But Matt Weaver, from local short track racing, to the Cars Tour, to the High Limit Racing Series, to USAC, to IndyCar, to NASCAR, Matt covers it, and he does an awesome job covering it. So if you're not following Matt Weaver, you are missing out on some of, if not the best racing content as a whole on social media. So you need to check out Matt, Jayski, Couch Racer, Brock Beard on X, and of course on YouTube. Check out his YouTube videos. They're so awesome. He does a really good job with that. And then of course, my personal favorite, CircleBDiecast.com for all of your diecast needs, whether you want a race win, whether you want an autograph, whether you want a 164, 124, anything but elites and special team exclusives. You can get at CircleBDiecast.com. For your elite purchases that are not team exclusives, you can check out FirstClassDiecast.com, which is a partner of Circle B Diecast. Check them out for all of your diecast needs. Check out their auctions. If you're looking for some older diecasts, check out their auction page. Check out their eBay page. Check out the previously owned collection on their website. Awesome diecasts. I've had my eye on a few, unfortunately, due to finances and other obligations. Just haven't been able to snatch them up, but I know where to go if I need a new diecast that was just released, that just hit the market, that's out now. I know where to go to get my pre-orders. I also know where to get my older diecast, and that is CircleBDiecast.com.
Of course. Also, be sure
Man,
to.
I could do a commercial for them.
You could, honestly. Also, check out.
If you're listening.
Yeah, I wish. Working on that, hopefully. Also, check out H&N TV on YouTube. They do the broadcasting for the league races. They also have their own leagues with Heat 5 as well. And I'm sure they will start one. They also are starting an F1 2025, F1 25, a league, racing league as well with H&N. And I'm sure once the new iRacing NASCAR 25 console game comes out, they will probably finish up with Heat 5 wherever they're at there and move over to that. So I'm hoping I could jump in on that one, depending on time and scheduling. But check them out as well to watch a pretty solid broadcasting of the iRacing stuff. I was actually mentioned a lot during the Atlanta broadcast because I led laps. It's a miracle. So for our partners, make sure to check out Dubby Dureless Energy Blend, as you see on my hat, and I've been drinking all episode. Make sure to also check out Rankest Rope Ranch Wear for your Western/rodeo attire. Undrdog Athletix for your faith-based athletic apparel. And follow Him Apparel for your regular faith-based apparel. All the links to both the non-sponsors and the partners, all in the description down below, along with what code to use at checkout. So make sure to check them all out as we get a lot of their info from the guys on the podcast and Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Check out Circle B, check out H&N, and check out Dubby, Rankest Rope, Undrdog, and follow Him Apparel. So thank you guys for tuning in. Any final words?
Yeah, I'll just hit that thumbs up button because it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you have not subscribed. Share this with your friends. We've got no problem with you sharing our content with other people. That's how we get new subscribers. And just we apologize for January. Wow. July being such a little to no content month, but lots of things happening, lots of exciting things happening that we'll share a little bit more with you, after we get everything done and we get settled into our new home in our situation and new home in Sterling's situation, as well as his new life.
Yeah.
Being a married man in that situation. So, but yeah, everybody have a blessed July. Happy 4th of July. This will probably be coming out on the 4th of July. 249 years for our great country. And it's just going to get better from here on out, we hope. Yeah, yeah, everybody be blessed and have a wonderful month of July. And we will see you, if not before August, we will see you in August.
Yep. So yeah, everything he just said, we appreciate you doing. Also hit the notification bell so you know when there's new content, or when I am streaming. But yeah, I do apologize for the lack of content for the month of July, but as explained, we are quite busy with some big, exciting life changes for both of us. Mine being pretty big, especially. Again, thank you guys for tuning in, watching, listening, whatever you may have done. We appreciate it. With that being said, we will see you in the next episode. So, peace out, right on, and God bless.